Good evening to all of you, all the distinguished delegates from India and abroad. A very good evening and greetings. Okay, today what I would like to talk about is research in terms of ranking, positioning yourself and your institution. Now, before I start with the presentation, I would just like to throw across some ideas on what this is all about, or what I'm trying to actually uh, speak about, or what I would like to convey here. What I mean by research and what I mean by ranking. Well, I think you have had a number of, I think the day before and yesterday was on happiness. Before that, we were looking at happiness research. Before that, there was a lot of global collaboration, research sessions and all. So consistently, we have been listening to lots and lots of sessions on research. Now, when I'm talking about research here, I'm not specifically confining to a doctoral program. I'm not talking about a PhD alone. I'm talking about what research can happen even in your graduate level, undergraduate level, your master's program, your project, or even for that matter, research on different projects which come across. So it's not just a PhD degree, but yes, it has got much to do with the doctoral program. So it's not just the doctoral program. Again, when I'm talking about ranking, I'm trying to relate the intellectual property or the research that happens in educational institutions and how this is going to reach out, give you a visibility, give your organization a visibility in terms of positioning itself. So I'm talking about positioning for the researcher and for the research institution, which could be the higher education institution in which we are. Now, all of us know about the complexity of higher education in India as well as globally. If you look at what it was 30 years, 50 years back, we have all kinds of institutions now. If you look at universities, there are central universities, there are state universities, there are private universities, there are foreign universities, there are arts and science universities, there are specialized universities, and in that you have in engineering, medicine, technology, law, whatnot. So if you look at colleges, you have again government colleges, aided colleges, unaided colleges, autonomous colleges, self-financing colleges, all kinds of institutions. So the diversity is very huge and the number is very large, but still we have not been, if you look at NEP 2020, we have not been able to reach uh, the destination in terms of what we are actually aspiring for. So given this backdrop, how efficiently and effectively are we using our potential for research, thinking beyond using it as a mere degree, thinking in terms of how you can transform your academics into knowledge, and again, knowledge into wealth is what I would like to actually present in the course of what I'm trying to convey here. So I'll just quickly go through this brief presentation of mine and try and see how we can perhaps share our thoughts on this particular theme. Is the slide visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the theme. Now I'm starting from why research for universities actually? Why are we actually talking about research? Now all the universities are basically known for the research outcomes, or actually for progression from academic outcome to research. So higher education is distinct from school education, where you have given the fundamentals of different theories, different schools of thought, different branches of knowledge, and then you move into higher education and continue with academics and research. But even what you put across in academics In terms of outcome, it has to transform into knowledge or research. I hope I'm making myself clear. What I'm trying to put across there, what is being taught at the UG level or the undergraduate level or at the master's program, ultimately the idea behind that is that the learner makes a deep introspection into those theories, those schools of thought, those models, those designs, those concepts which were discussed there, and they try to look outside. They try to look at the environment in which they live, maybe the village in which they live, the state in which they live, the nation in which they live, and they hypothesize something. Where does this theory that I have learned, where does this concept that I have learned find application? And I am made to ponder over that. So in that sense, every academic outcome that comes from a higher education institution must in fact have something to do with research. And this is the primary objective of higher education institution. So it is simply for intellectual property that you have to create. So intellectual property, maybe in terms of rights that we own, maybe in the form of patents or copyrights or industrial designs or trademarks. If not at that point, at least in terms of the publications and in terms of the visibility that I have created, I am competent enough to say that we are in the process of knowledge creation. We are not just in the process of equipping people with degrees and equipping people with, say, some basic fundamentals. We are in the higher education institutions. We are, and more specifically in universities, we are in this process of looking at research outcomes, and we want outcomes. We are not just going to be satisfied by saying that we have produced 200 PhDs or 100 MPhils or 400 masters. Now, what happens with them and how they transform themselves into looking at some live issues around them and see that there is something which leads into this. So this is very important, and this is actually what we are trying to build across when we are trying to look at research in higher education institutions and positioning that institution in terms of what they have done. If you look at all great institutions, they have positioned themselves basically or totally in terms of the knowledge that they could create and the application that knowledge has brought in. Even if you look at the vaccine that we're talking in terms of COVID, we are the people who researched into and we created this vaccine, or we created this outcome, we created this technology, we created the model for transformation. So they are all talking about how they use the basic theories that they have learned, the basic theories that they have introspected over, in order to convert them into action, to convert them into application, to convert them into a meaningful way of living. So the whole idea is, if you have lots of research in agriculture, we need to ensure that we get good agro products. We have good food to eat. We have healthy life. If you have good research in medicine, it must get reflected in terms of good health. If you have good research in social sciences, we need to have a good society. If you have good research in the subject that I teach, management, we need to have good management practices across organizations. So what is happening in the industry, what is happening in the society, what is happening around you is in fact the outcome of what has been researched upon. And the ideal place where this should happen is our universities. And that is what we need to actually look. And when you do that, you're ranked, you're positioned, you're made visible. And if you look at all great researchers, they have made themselves visible and their organizations visible. And that supports all their grading, their ranking, their growth. That is what actually we are trying to look at, how research and ranking gets associated with positioning yourself as well as your institution. Now look at this. What does this process involve? Actually, it is, when I said research, I said it's not just doctoral program. It can even be a master's or whatever way you look at how you relate your academics, how you relate your theories, how you relate your concepts to where it finds life. whenever a small module that I'm transacting in the classroom, or I'm trying to teach in the classroom, or a student is trying to learn in the classroom, it sinks deep where I try to internalize it. And after internalizing, I'm trying to give some life and meaning to this. I'm trying to give life to it. I'm trying to give life to it. So if I teach in my subject, suppose I teach motivation, I must see that what is this motivation going to be as far as motivating others in an organization is concerned. That's why I said if I do good medical research in medicine, I must look at what is this going to, how does this have meaning in terms of good health. So in that way, what is actually happening here is at the bottom, you have an in-depth understanding of the known. So that's what happens in academics. In any theory, in any concept, in any school of thought, what is being transacted in the theories, in the modules that we teach, that we discuss, is an in-depth understanding of the known. What is known? How plants are bringing up life, and how the process of photosynthesis takes place, how flowers come up, how fruits, how plants bear fruits, like that. What is happening in the ocean? What is happening in the among rocks, and what is happening in society? What is happening with culture? What is happening with what do you call social diaspora? All the known things are being discussed. You look at any subject or any program or any course, it's all talking about what is known in that domain. But then what actually research does, it is making us move from the known to the unknown. From this known, we are pondering over the unknown. Make them known through your efforts. So research is just simply this. It's actually a movement from the known to the unknown. That means whenever I'm doing research on something, I'm saying through my literature, through what has been established so far, this is the fact which is known. And I have my own paradigm, or I have my own situation, or I have my own context in which I'm saying, this is what I would like to make known. And when I make known that, it can be a new product, it can be a new theory, it can be a new design, it can be a new work of art, it can be a new story, it can be an untold history, it can be a new way of looking at culture, it can be a new product, it can be a new vaccine, it can be a new insecticide. So everywhere there is this new, something new which you are trying to bring up. And when this sinks, or when this process happens, that is where you're saying that your university, your higher education institution is of life. It can be in a very small context. I might even look at something which is specific to a family. And based on what I know, I try to say that these are the good things which makes this a successful family. This is what makes the farming in this particular farmland something to be very unique. This is how this product found application in these ways. So even in a small space, in the limited space, in the limited context, with whatever I know, if I try to give life and meaning to it, there comes the relevance of your institution. That is the kind of research that we need. That is the kind of positioning that we build. And it is this that I subsequently give as publications. I can convert it into patents. I give it into copyrights for what I've done. I have my citations. I have my H-index. It's all related to this. But at the root of it is the movement that I have made from the existing that is known to how I ponder over what is unknown. And that means when I have a deep internalization of the known, and I look outside, I see a space for me to relate what has been said in my theory or my concept and what is happening outside. So if I have done, maybe I am in social work or I'm in cultural studies, I see something which is happening quite different from what has been theoretized or what has been conceptualized. And I say that, let me do a research and find why this is happening in this form. If you look at all prior research, also the same thing happens. So this is something where we have to realize that our processes are internalization in terms of academics, and looking outside in terms of relationship, relatedness, and association, and then trying to build up what do you call build up a strong association between the two so that you come out with something new, something innovative, something creative. This is what I'm talking about. And when you have done that, you get ranked, you get positioned, and spontaneously the same happens with your uh, education institution as well. India and the world, I'm just talking a bit about intellectual property. India has shown significant growth in intellectual property in terms of patents. If you look at the filing that has taken place, patent filing, growing by 7.2%, growing by 7 since 2018. World growth was somewhere around 5 point, and India grew about 7.2%. Trademarks, we grew in the last couple of years by 20%. Industrial designs, we grew by 13 points. So this is all where we could create something new as per World Intellectual Property Indicators 2019. So India has come out as one among the 10 top nations in terms of what we call intellectual property filing activity by OJ. So that means we are reasonably good, perhaps after China, after US, we are still good in terms of creating intellectual property. So the creation, which you are saying, if you're looking at the creation in terms of publication, in terms of getting copyrights, in terms of getting industrial designs, yes. But India's challenge is this: building a right ecosystem for research. As I said, we have maybe 1,000 plus universities, and we have 50,000 plus colleges currently in India. So all these institutions, yes, we are doing well in terms of filing and publication, but how much of this is getting converted into something which is application based, something which is useful in terms of transforming life? And that is where we look into building. We need to see a right ecosystem for research comes up in our organization. We need to have not just PhDs, even below that, basically PhDs, because every PhD talks about something new. So PhDs with life and meaning, rather than PhDs with just saying that I got a degree. And ensuring intellectual property transformation into wealth. That means you have found out something new, you have a publication, or you have said that this is something which, and you are saying that this is going to be of wealth to me, either in financial terms or in terms of wealth for the society or the nation. Use of collaborative mode is another challenge. How much are we collaborating? Because we have islands of excellence, and we also have islands of isolation, where we have institutions standing as such, and some basic activity going on, but not sure what's actually happening over there. So what is the kind of collaboration that we bring? Even this forum for yours. I was just listening to your previous speaker. She was asking for connectivity and all. It all talks about basically how much are we collaborating, how much synergy we are trying to build about, and seeing this as a continuum approach. That something was done in the past, something is being done today, and something needs to be done in future. Because when I look at my research done 30 years back, it is totally irrelevant today. There are lots and lots of things which have changed in terms of organizations at that point of time and now. Basically, in terms of technology, in the methods in which education takes place, in the methods in which what you call human interaction, communication, networking has developed. So all this calls for a continuum approach that is very, very important in research. So we need to address these challenges if you want to position yourself and your institution. I'm saying this can happen in normally this is very highly correlated, but there are certain cases where I get satisfaction even from projecting certain things for my institution, where I'm saying that I could do this much, I could create this much, I could develop to this extent. So that is what we're trying to actually look into. Now, for this, some of the concerns or some of the steps when we actually relate this to ranking. Ranking in the sense that I'm not talking about just getting accreditation or just getting A++ or A+. I'm also talking about ranking that will position yourself as a good institution a robust institution, a healthy institution, which is growing in terms of their capability to what do you call, make a deep understanding of all that is being transacted in terms of academics and its transformation in terms of uh, human life. How much you can transform this into action. So this building is what is looked at, and what we need to do for that. Primarily, we need to promote research facilities. So institutional facilities, yes, we talk about laboratories, we talk about libraries, we talk about e-resources. This is becoming more and more relevant because the mode in which this can be used now is fast changing. So these are the very important. We are moving to virtual laboratories. Instead of physical books and libraries, we are moving into digital library. So e-resources, and much of them which are available, not even at an institutional level. They are common facilities. I can use the IIT Kharagpur digital library. I can use global platforms. I can use globally available digital library. I can have e-access to resources. So common, lots of things are available. It is this is so what do you call, the ease with which you can access this is so high today when compared to what it was earlier. Because earlier I have to go to my own laboratory, I have to go to my own library, I have to search for things inside that physically. Today it's all like computerized online searches and resources across. I'm sure in this particular webinar in which many what do you call researchers and delegates have participated, they could have shared their resources in terms of their own institutions, the library that we have, the lab that we have, the master's program that we have done, the publications that we have. So sharing can take place. So use of common facility. You can have lots and lots of publication support in terms of research facility. What are the things that can be published and how it can be published? What is a good way of writing the report? What is a good what do you call data analysis support that we need specifically in certain scientific publications? We need certain specifications, specs to be complied with, how the same can be done, how sample analysis support can be undertaken. So what I'm trying to bring across here is the concept that institution must always be rich through the physical presence of all these infrastructure is not always true. Yes, it is good if you can have all your facilities inside. I'm not saying no, but even if it is absent, through collaboration, through use of common resources, through use of centralized facilities, through use of lots of financial support which gives you those facilities, you can access them and you can position yourself. So it is primarily the availability of the facilities which is important, but beyond that, it is an inner urge in the researcher to look for what are the specific things which he will need and go in search of them. And when that commitment is very convincing, facilities are things which you can build up. So that is what I would like to present over here. Then again, resource mobilization, because we talk about how much of resources for research could the institution build up. Now, there are lots of funding agencies. It can be in India, it can be international. In India, you have the CSIR, you have BST, you have MHRD, you have ICSSR, you have ministries, you have Inspire, you have Strive, you have lots and lots of funding projects which come across. Internationally also, there are lots of project support, lots of fellowships, lots of research grants which are coming up. So the environmental support or the external support or the external build-up for resources, they are actually there. Then what is important? Much depends on how you establish your proposal as one where knowledge worth using will come. So that is the most important. So if you are giving a proposal, I'm quite sure even now, let it be in social sciences, let it be in physical sciences or natural sciences, if you are going to convincingly state that after this project, my deliverable or my outcome is going to be knowledge which is capable of being used in such a way that it will make life more meaningful. It will create ease of living. It will create a policy support which is going to be useful in a particular context. It will bring a new application which will make life more simple. It will give better health, or it will give better cultural relations, or it is something which is going to promote the well-being of maybe a disadvantaged group or a differently able group. So somewhere you're saying the knowledge is worth using. So if you can convince that, one good. So this is where the most important thing in research mobilization. How you propose to be a knowledge creator, how you propose to be creative in your process by saying that through this, I can position myself to be an instrument, to be an institution, an individual, which is going to create knowledge, and that knowledge is going to be useful in this way. So I'm very clear about it. Like when we do projects for the industry, they keep asking us, suppose we give you this much rupee and we'll fund your project. What is going to be the outcome? Who's going to be the beneficiary? Is there a beneficiary for this? And if at all there is a beneficiary, who is that beneficiary and how the benefit is going to come out? This is what is exactly looked into. So there, if you are able to talk about it, and how are you going to talk about it? By linking, by picking the basic elements of what you have come across in academics and trying to see how this gets related to life. Somebody in oceanography is talking about fishermen who are in the sea. Somebody in aquatic biology talks about some marine products. Somebody in medicine talks about how to deal with a virus. Somebody in agriculture talks about how farming practices can improve the life of the farmers. So if this is what you're going to create, funds will just flow into your organization. Funds will just flow into you as a person who is going to have a transformative role in the process of knowledge creation. So that is very important. That is what we're trying to build up out over here. Then again, the ecosystem, research and innovation ecosystem. You need to encourage research in two ways. We need to be supportive and we need to have a motivational culture. Supportive in the sense that our higher education institutions must not be an institution which is say, okay, we are just concerned with some getting some degrees and just going out. We should encourage people to come up with proposals. We should have a single window fast track system for proposal clearing. You give a proposal, run from pillar to post, it gets delayed. Nobody is there to support you with the, what you call, some data analysis. Nobody is there to support you with seeing that it moves in time. There are hundreds of questions which are asked here and there. So support it. So also, if you do good things, there should be an internal mechanism. There must be a culture in your organization where somebody is saying that, okay, this is good, this is fine. This is what the outcome from your research has done. This is how our institution has benefited from what you have done. So that culture must be there. System for bringing researchers closer. Now, that is why we have lots of webinars, lots of collaboration, lots of exchange programs. And in all these, what we are trying to do, we are trying to bring researchers closer. And when you bring researchers closer, what it means, when I push my publication or when I've done something good, I share my thoughts. I come across people with similar interests. So that person might be in some other part of the world, in some other organization, in a different set of conditions which are different from mine. He or she might have a different school of thought, a different way of thinking. So when you come together, you are in a better position to strengthen your work. You learn from best practices. Somebody who comes in an exchange program like this, they say, okay, in our university, we have a supportive mechanism for research, which is like this. We have a motivational culture, which is like this. The way we promote research at the beginning by asking for proposals, good proposals is like this. The way we screen out proposals and get the best ideas to come out is like this. So best practices across the globe. Here we have started something called Interaction with Eminent Scholars and Meet the Scholars, 2 programs. So where across the world, we look for people who are very good scholars who can share with the researchers in our university on the best practices which they are actually adopting over there. Awarding great researchers and outcomes. Those who have been created, those who have created good research outcomes. How do you recognize them? How do you respect them? How do you award them? Enabling societal linkage. That means there are lots and lots of good researchers who have answers to problems that are encountered by people who live around them, leave alone the entire globe. Maybe even in the immediate vicinity of where the higher education institution is situated. You have something that is happening around you, you have something that goes around you, and you tend to learn something over there. So even on that line, but then they just keep quiet. They know the problem, they know how perhaps we can resolve this. It can be maybe environment science and waste management, or maybe geology and water harvesting. So societal linkage can happen, but then they have a feeling, why should I involve? So your enabling societal linkage is something which can happen even in the field of removing phobia and learning, dealing with the disadvantaged group, strengthening the learning capabilities of those who are differently able. So all these things can happen. And finally, enabling applications. That's most of the research that happens in science. It talks about seeing how it creates applications in terms of products or services or support thoughts that can happen. It is the research outcomes which have created what you call hundreds of micro small enterprises across the world doing different kinds of services, including what you have pay and use toilets. These are all ideas which have come in the minds of different people. You have support for what you call green farming for farmers, which is all coming in terms of enabling applications. So some are physical products, some are services, some are support thoughts, some are policy interventions. So all these can happen when you have an ecosystem. So what is this ecosystem talking about? It is talking about giving good support for research, even when it is at the master's level, for the projects that are being undertaken, for the PhD that is happening, such that you make it something which is meaningful, make it something which is relevant, make it something which can have value at some point. And this thought is something which is sown deep into the researcher from day one they think of research. So that is what we are actually talking about in terms of the ecosystem. Now, publications and intellectual property, reach out with your research work. You might be doing research in something which is very regional, very focused into a very small context, or something which is highly global, something which you believe, okay, this is my piece of work, but then you reach out with your research work, even when it is going on. Tell the outside world that this is what is happening. And how do you do that? Through your publications. Every small part of it, every bit of it, you publish with due concern for reviews. Let the reviewers criticize, supplement, suggest, appreciate, whatever. Even if it is criticism, no problem. But then somebody looks into that work and somebody says, okay, this is good, or this is not the way it has to be done, or this is something which has to be added, or this is how somebody can associate. So you reach out, publish every bit. Someone might be interested. I don't know. I believe that, okay, this is going to be very regional or specific or very contextual or situational. There might be somebody who's interested in it. Somebody might criticize, no problem. We need to be open to criticism also. We need to get feedback. We need to get responses from others. Some opportunity might emerge. Somebody might tell, okay, you share your thoughts with me, together we can do something. So that's why we are saying, let us share all the intellectual property which comes from different forums, let it converge and let the outside world make yourself visible, make yourself transparent in terms of what you're doing, and let others try and see whether we can associate and whether we can use something or use at least something which is similar. So the end result is what we're going to get out of this from your publications, from your intellectual property. It is not that I'm going to be always recognized with a Nobel Prize or I'm going to get a patent. Yes, that is important. That is valid in your ranking and position. But beyond that, what I'm looking into is I'm making myself visible. This is the idea that I had. It might sound to be very trivial for some. It might sound to be very great for some, but this is what I wanted to find out. And I had some idea on this, and I'm sharing this in different forms in terms of the work that I have done. The end result is greater visibility. Again, it is visibility for you and your institution, because you always tag yourself with your higher education institution, and it is supportive, mutually supportive in that form. So you're making yourself visible through your publications. Then you also do extension activities when you're talking about rank. That means your research is getting linked with the outside world. I'm not just confining to my library, my laboratory, my experiment, my writing, and my small space. I open up to a larger space. That's what I said when I'm doing something, some research on some aspect. I find that something relating to that is happening in the outside world. That's why a researcher is always one who keeps himself to be involved in a two-way relationship. Number one, you look deep into the theories on what is known, your literature, the existing theory. So internally, you're what you call receiving into you all the known theories, all the known facts, all the known studies, all your reviews you take into your that's why we do the literature review. Take it inside. But that is not sufficient. When you take it inside, day to day, you're also looking outside. In this field, what is happening outside? The researchers in medicine, they keep looking at what is happening with the new virus, new bacteria, new diseases, new pockets where they're
I'm sorry. I think he's having a network issue. Let us wait for join.
happening outside. I found out this, and this is what now they're doing. My application, my suggestion, my service, my support was crucial in this context, and that is where it found life. And that can be in the society, it can be with industry, it can be with professional bodies, it can be with policy making institutions, it can be with governments. We saw what is happening with the COVID vaccine. It's a piece of research. Now, lots of people are, so that is being used by governments, it is used by WHO, it is being used by professional bodies. So there are lots and lots of things across, small and big, which finds application in different contexts. And you extend your research to the society around you. Then there is also scope for something that we talk about in terms of your consultancy. So that means you are trying to provide your services to generate revenue. Act as a service provider for the knowledge. That's why I said converting knowledge to wealth. You look at all great industries, great research institutions under CSIR or DST, or even worldwide, great universities which are ranked number one. They have got lots and lots of consultancy which they do for different organizations. So the service, those who need services, the clients, they come to the institution and they have faith in that institution for the knowledge that they create and for the capability to create knowledge. So maybe our higher education institution, in terms of some specific skills that we have, it can be in languages, it can be in translation, it can be in cross-cultural relationship, it can be in diaspora studies, it can be in physical sciences, it can be in botanical gardening methodologies. So you can somewhere see, you can do something for them and you can get a revenue out of it. Generate revenue from research service. Now it is revenue, not just revenue. It is revenue plus that revenue does not just come because I know how to do certain things and I'm getting revenue. It is revenue plus expertise to link up with reality. Because when I'm doing my consultancy work, I'm working on real life projects. I'm working in a real life situation and I get lots and lots of opportunities to link up over there. You have to obviously look for collaboration because the collaboration can be with institutions, your higher education institution with other institutions. It can also be with between individuals. I'm a researcher here. I have another researcher somewhere in some other part of the world, maybe in Japan or US or Asia or somewhere else, who's doing a work similar or what you call aligned to what I'm doing. So you can collaborate, and your outcome there in terms of publication, in terms of the intellectual property creations, it would get strengthened. Because I do something on my own and I write and I publish, uh, its visibility, its reach out, its capability to create impact will be multifold when two people from different institutions, two or three people from different institutions have put their brains and minds together and they come out collectively with some outcome. Obviously, it will have a wider reach. It will have a stronger reach. And maybe even for the sake of criticism or for the sake of looking at it from different perspectives, you have all these opportunities. And you can also collaborate with those institutions or those individuals or those contexts in which you believe that you can get support. Suppose I want to learn about something which is happening in industries in India from my field, and I also would like to know similar industries in one other country. So it is difficult for me to always personally go there and do my data collection and support. So I can get a partner there. That part is done over there, and this part is done over here. We have collaboration. So collaboration, use of resources, collaboration in your data collection, collaboration in understanding the situation there. When we talk about your emic approach and all, we're very specific when we talk about cultural or such issues. We need to be part of the respondents who are the subject matter of research, and that is more possible if you have a collaboration with them, because you will be a part of that the group on which who are responding to you in your country, and some other place, somebody else will be doing that for you, and you have immense potential to have what you call collaborative outcomes. So this is so strong when you have that and you position yourself. Again, your institution also grows along with that. So what is the end? You are well ranked, you are visible, and when collectively done, your institution is well ranked and well placed. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you look at NEP 2020, or if you look at the way higher education institutions are getting transformed, be it universities or institutions of higher learning, research is the key. And that research is something, yes, it has got lots of things institutional, but it is primarily driven from an inner urge within the researcher to create something new, to do something which is meaningful and transform his learning into into outcomes where they hypothesize something and they work on that hypothesis and it gets proved, and based on that they get themselves positioned. So the whole idea here that I was trying to share maybe for 30 to 45 minutes was this: how effectively you can use research as a means for your growth, both vertically and horizontally, uh, as well as that of your institution. And we earn that pleasure of doing something joyful in terms of the transformative mode in which we have operated, the way I have used what is known in order to enter into a knowledge domain where something new has been brought about by me. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I don't know how much time I have. Maybe I'll be having, in case somebody needs something to share or add on to, you can use this. So we have, this is what I have got to put across. So thank you so much, and so best wishes for your research pursuits, and hopefully you will have more to add on to what I've put across. Thank you.